So I don't know if people know about this chap, Billboard Chris. He's been in Ireland a few times. I've actually had the privilege of talking to him once or twice, but all he does is go around with these things, talking how the children can consent, type of way to things. And he puts that question to people all the time. Like, here's a question for you people out there as well. So, say you're the parent of these, let's just hypothetically, okay, that you're all for your child going through this stuff that they're, the puberty blockers and all this sort of things. And I understand that some people, uh, that they have used it in certain circumstances where it does actually help the child. When it comes to some children have difficulty with puberty, right? Like extreme difficulty, and it can lead to them having a chemical imbalance in a way, and which then leads into them having mental problems and stuff, right? So I understand that part of it, right? But say you are as a parent pro transition, right? And Billboard Chris comes up to you and asks you this question, which he says, would you let your 13-year-old child get a tattoo or smoke or drink or drive, you know? And 100% of the time they will say, no, that's ridiculous. Don't be stupid. That's so irresponsible. But then you ask them, would you let your child transition at the age of 13? And they're like, oh yeah, oh yeah. As if that's not as life-changing as what could happen to them if they smoke or drink or drive a car underage and have an accident. Do you know? Do you get me? So that's a really good question that you can put to these people that are all pro transition. But he interviews a random girl here, Clementine, and I've nothing but admiration for for speaking up. Any of them that speak up, I have great admiration for, and they should be held in high measure, right? So have a listen to this.
Yeah, come on in. What's your name?
My name's Clementine.
Nice to meet you.
I've actually seen your stuff online, and
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan. I was on puberty blockers. I started when I was 12, and I was on testosterone from 14 to 17, and I got top surgery at 17. Totally messed my life up. So I just want to say you're doing a good thing.
Wow.
I can't believe people disagree with you on this. As a former child transitioner, I'm just appalled that people have anything to question you about. So I salute
Well,
you.
I'm so sorry you had to go through all that. I'm glad you are through it now. Thank you so much for speaking up. That's extremely valuable because a lot of people are afraid to.
Yeah, I think it will encourage a lot of other people. The more they hear people who have transitioned and ultimately regret it, I can give you first-hand information on what it's like to go through it. Like these cases that break of big sexual abuse cases, in the world. You find that it once one person comes out, it gives others the confidence to come out and speak up. So that's what needs to happen. You need more people like Clementine approaching people with Chris, and who has a big platform. That's what it's going to take. It's going to take for more people just to speak out.
Yeah.
So, do you mind if we have a little conversation about it?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, come on in this way just a little bit.
Oh yeah, for sure. Hi.
So, your name again?
My name's Clementine.
Clementine. So, Clementine went on puberty blockers at what age?
12.
And you detransitioned at?
I detransitioned earlier this year, actually, but I had been going off testosterone since about 17 because
Okay.
it gave me psychosis.
When did they put you on testosterone?
Oh, did you hear that now? The drugs that they did put her on give her psychosis.
I was 13.
Wow.
With 13 years old, putting a child on that. 13. Like as if as if the child knows at 13 years old, to make such a life altering change. It's just absurd. It's absurd, and to me it's child abuse.
And when did you have a double mastectomy?
I had a double mastectomy at 14.
Okay, now 14.
I'm currently going through the process of getting reconstructive surgery, and it was harder to get that approved. I actually wasn't able to get it approved by my insurance.
Right.
But it was much harder to get surgery for that than it was to actually get the original top surgery procedure.
So they're making it easier for people to transition, but if they want to detransition, it's harder for them. What seems fair and right about that?
For everyone watching this who says this isn't happening, well, it
Yeah.
happened to Clementine. At 14, a double mastectomy, puberty blockers at 12, testosterone at 13. How old are you now?
I'm 20 now. I just turned 20.
Have you ever talked to anyone about suing?
I can't disclose
Okay.
what's going on, but yeah, it's
Okay, because I'm
That's
here to help
definitely
you
something I'd
find
like
someone
to
if you
do.
need someone.
yeah. I've spoken. Do you know Campbell Miller Payne?
I do.
I've talked to them a bunch.
Fantastic. So, Campbell Miller Payne is a law firm for dads in Texas who all left their previous law firms and started a new one just to sue for kids and young people like Clementine who've been harmed by this madness. And these are great guys. They could have done anything to make a bunch of money, but they started a law firm. They left all their previous firms. They have 18 kids between them, and they're going to cause a lot of waves. I know some good lawsuits coming too, which we aren't allowed to announce yet.
Yeah, I really
But
hope so.
that's one of the way
I don't
out of this
know.
mess we've gotten into.
I hope it does, and I hope that firm that he's talking about stay true to their word. It seems like they kind of have a passion about it, considering they all left their old firms and started up that new one. But I hope it does. I hope it snowballs, and people like Clementine here get some sort of justice for what was done to them, the brainwashing that they were put under.
I don't know how a child could consent to the loss of their fertility.
Yeah.
Children can't consent.
There's a line, isn't it? Just know how children can consent to the loss of their fertility. Wow. That's a line. I'm going to write that down.
Realize that, and I think people don't understand that.
So, what got you into this in the first place?
I was sexually abused as a child, and that was totally ignored. But I started having a lot of negative feelings about my body around puberty, and I was egged on by some guidance counselors that I might be transgender, and I later decided that I was really a boy, and my life would be so much easier because of all this abuse that
Them guidance counsellors need bleeding looking
I had
into.
experienced because of being a woman, and I totally just rejected womanhood because I thought that all that it meant for me was pain. Yeah, that's kind of how I got there. But
And what got
getting
you out?
out of it, getting out of it was a really difficult process for me. But mostly it was just getting the right therapy. I went to DBT therapy, and we never discussed my gender. We only discussed my sexual abuse. And after I dealt with that, I realized I didn't want to do this anymore, and the loss of my fertility and my body just started to.
That's kind of strange there. It's setting a little alarm bell off in my head that the children here who are going through it seem to be victims already of some sort of abuse, and they're told that if they do transition, that it will help them overcome that abuse. I mean, that's what Clementine's story here is telling me, that our guidance counsellors, once they focused on the abuse that she suffered when she was younger, it helped her in her detransition. Isn't that a bit bizarre?
Really sink in, and I realized, like, oh my god, I've built this entire persona around misogyny.
A lie.
Do you know for sure that you've lost your fertility?
I'm not 100% sure,
Okay.
but
But you were on
I'm not the
testosterone
most
for
hopeful.
4
I never
years.
went through female puberty, so yeah.
Right. I'm so sorry, but thank you so much for speaking up.
Yeah,
It's
thank
extremely
you for
brave.
speaking to me.
It's extremely powerful. I'm so sorry what was done to you, but this is going to help other people not.
I'm so glad
To
you're
fall
doing
down
what
this
you're
rabbit
doing.
hole.
Keep going.
One last question, and just come in a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
Before you started on the puberty blockers, you've just shared with me this sexual abuse that happened to you before you started on those.
Yeah.
Did anyone ask you about that?
No, not was that brought up once during the meeting. I was only asked, do I like hanging out with boys? Do I get fit in better with boys? What kind of things am I into? Just really surface level questions. And I was prescribed puberty blockers 30 minutes into my appointment after.
Mad, because like if they had just helped her with her abuse problem instead of leaning her in towards, well, perhaps you might be a boy then, you know, or perhaps you might be a male. Like if they had actually helped our abuse or through our abuse, then none of this would have happened. If they had helped her with our initial problem that she had. But now they were happy to just roll with that child abuse and then turn it into something that meant that she could really be the opposite sex. So bizarre. What a weird way of treating a child's problems.
Being out for 4 months.
First appointment.
Yes.
With
Dr. Joanna Olson Kennedy at Los Angeles Children's Hospital.
Yeah, I've heard it all. It's always the same ones.
Johanna Olson Kennedy. I've talked a lot about her, and I'm going to put more about her underneath this video. She's running the busiest gender clinic in the country at Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. She received a grant from the NIH a few years ago for $5.7 million. And part of that grant application, she asked for approval to give opposite sex hormones to kids as young as 8 years old.
Jeez. 8. You want to go even younger now?
Yeah,
She is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, gender ghoul in the United States of America. Did she talk to your parents?
She did, and she told them the same thing that she tells everybody, that I was deeply suicidal, and that if they didn't let me transition, I would be at high risk for suicide.
Remember, I was saying that to you. They always throw that out, and the reason that they always throw the suicide line out is because they want to end the conversation. They want to stop people from having further conversation about it, because they know that a good majority of people around the world, when you talk about unaliving and all that stuff, that people don't want to talk about that. Like, they'd be happy just to turn around and say, well, do whatever you have to do. Just stop talking to me about suicide. Do you get me? So that's exactly what this woman Kennedy did for this young girl when she was younger. She went to her parents after sitting with her and knowing that she was sexually abused. She went and mentioned to her parents that, do you know what, she's actually suicidal. And if you don't let her transition, then she could follow through with that thought.
And I only attempted to kill myself after I transitioned.
So she convinced them that they had two options, a dead...
No, and then she only actually attempted it after all that happened to her. Huh? But I'll put the link in for Billboard Chris here, so you can go and give him a follow, his page on Twitter and stuff like that. I'll put it in the comments below. And let's hope more ladies develop the strength to come out and speak up. Because like I said, that's just going to be a snowball effect then, if more and more come out.